is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to an NFL 2021 mock draft. This is actually the first mock draft for the NFL that I've posted in probably like 4 or so years, back on the SROS channel, which was originally this channel when I did like a Madden series and an MLB like franchise series. I did do NFL mock drafts, so I'm going to be doing one today. I'm going to get back into it, and if you guys enjoy mock drafts and maybe you enjoy me interpreting my thoughts on this, drop a thumbs up and let me know down below. This is just my opinion on what I think will happen. You guys see that I'm not accurate in NBA mock drafts, and it's really hard to actually have an accurate mock draft. So this is just what I think teams could do and why they would do that. So, yeah, we have just round one. I'm going to be doing all 30 picks for this. No trades will be made either because I'm not sure what will happen. So the Jets are going to be picking 2. There's going to be no Deshaun Watson trade. And if that happens, or when it happens, if Watson gets traded or maybe Derek Carr gets traded or something else happens, I will be doing an updated mock draft if you guys are enjoying this. So yeah, we can get into this. It's pretty easy what number 1 overall pick will be. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence. This is one in a generation quarterback. This is probably the most hyped up quarterback prospect since we've seen, I don't know, Andrew Luck in 2012, maybe Cam Newton the year prior than that. Like, there really hasn't been a player hyped up as much at the quarterback position as Trevor Lawrence has. Yeah, since pretty much Andrew Luck. Like, Winston, people thought was going to be really good when he went number 1 overall, but it just didn't really pan out for him. But this is a no-brainer pick. They have a new coach in Urban Meyer, and I know Gardner Minshew is not the answer at quarterback for the Jaguars. So that one's an easy one. We'll get out of the way. So right now, I'm going to have the Jets not trading for Deshaun Watson. Could they still trade Sam Darnold? Yeah, and I'm going to predict that they still do that. So I'm going to have them take Zach Wilson, a quarterback out of BYU. So quarterbacks going 1 and 2. This has happened a couple times in the 2010s with Goff and Wentz going. In 2016, the year prior, in 2015, when Winston went number 1 and then Marcus Mariota went 2. In 2012, you had Luck 1 and RG3 2. So yeah, I think the Jets will go Zach Wilson over Justin Fields if they do not end up trading for Watson or they end up moving on from Sam Darnold. Zach Wilson played behind a great O-line in BYU, and that's kind of just something that I'm skeptical about, but he will have a great offensive tackle on his side with Mekhi Becton, who the Jets nailed on their first round pick last year. So I think if they were to keep the pick, they would go Zach Wilson and build around him for their future with their new head coach, and then with a lot of cap space in free agency. So this is where it gets really interesting for the Dolphins because they can go 2 routes. They can go a receiver. I don't think they're going to go quarterback. Like, I don't think they would take Justin Fields. I think they could trade this pick for Deshaun Watson. I'll mention his name a bunch in this video. But if not, I'm still thinking that for this mock draft purpose that they're going to build around Tua Tagovailoa. It's either going to be offensive tackle or wide receiver. And also, this is on the Draft Network. I forgot to mention that. It's pretty much the best mock draft. I like this one a lot better, the mock draft generator, than PFF. So it's tough because they can go Jamar Chase. They need a receiver really badly. I think they need somebody on the other side of Devontae Parker. But I think offensive tackle is going to be huge for them. So I think they're going to take Penei Sewell. I really do, out of Oregon, who had a fantastic year out in the Pac-12. You're going to build around Tua, get them a great offensive lineman, and they kind of lack offensive linemen, so this is a need for them. You could use most of your cap space to go after a receiver in free agency. It's loaded in that sense with Kenny Galladay, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chris Godwin. There's a bunch of free agents they can target in free agency. Get a tackle. They're way more valuable at number 3. This is also an interesting one because I think I'm going to go Justin Fields. I think the Falcons, with Fields on the board at 4, they would kind of find their Matt Ryan successor when they move on from Matt Ryan and kind of have a fresh start there in Atlanta. I also thought, like, they could go Micah Parsons, but I don't see him going in the top 5. So they could go maybe Samuel Cosmi or Rashawn Slater, who I know has been a riser on a lot of people's boards, or at least what I've been reading. But I think they're going to go Justin Fields if he's on the board. So yeah, 3 quarterbacks in the top 4 picks are off the board. And I do think another one will go in the top 10, but we'll get to that in a second. The Bengals, Jamar Chase is on the board here, and that could be massive for them, right? Getting another receiver with Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, who Joe Burrow played with at LSU in 2019. that would be filthy, but they need an offensive tackle. Maybe there'll be a team that could trade down. I think Rashawn Slater could be the pick here because they need to protect Joe Burrow. He tore his ACL because they had no protection and he has no time to throw, and their O-line isn't very good. So I'm going to have them taking Rashawn Slater like a couple other teams, or like I kind of mentioned about the Jets. They could go out into the free agent market if they really want a receiver, but they have bigger priorities and bigger needs. So I'm going to have them take Slater and build that O-line around Joe Burrow. I mean, in a perfect world, Sewell falls to 5. I like him more than Slater from what I've seen. So I think that in a perfect world, maybe they trade up, but I doubt it. So Slater's going to be picked there. Now, the Eagles. This one is interesting as well because I still have all 3 of these receivers on the board. Yeah, it's pretty shocking, I know. So they could go receiver, but they could also go corner with Patrick Surtain, who I think is the number 1 corner in this draft, still on the board. And it's tough, too, because in the last 2 drafts, the Eagles have taken wide receivers with their first-round pick, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in 2019, and then in 2020, Jalen Reagor. So I don't know, man. This one is tough because I just don't see a way like Chase falling that much because I think he'll be the first receiver drafted. But I feel like Patrick Surtain is just a huge need. I mean, like, the receiver isn't really the biggest need for Philly. It is a need because you can't really roll out Arcega-Whiteside, Greg Ward, Travis Fulgham, and then you also have Jalen Reagor as well. I mean, it's not that bad, and you have Ertz, who I think will be back. I think they're going to go corner. I'm going to have them taking Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. They desperately need somebody outside along with Darius Slay out there. Really improve the secondary. And cornerbacks are more valuable than receivers, in my opinion. Lions. Okay, so the obvious pick could be Trey Lance, but I do not think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to wait on that. They traded for Jared Goff. He's still under contract for a couple more years, so I don't believe that they are going to draft a quarterback unless they have a man crush on Trey Lance or Mac Jones. But I don't think there's anything about those 2 players that's like, all right, let's take that guy and when we have bigger needs and we already have a quarterback that we're paying so much money under contract for the next couple of years. With Kenny Golladay possibly leaving in free agency, they do need a receiver. Now, I do also think they could look at Micah Parsons, but I think they're going to go Jamar Chase here. Maybe they won't pay Golladay, but they're going to take his replacement in Jamar Chase and just have a wide receiver to build on the future. And maybe they look at, I don't know, like Sam Howell next year in the draft, right? And they already have a stud receiver in place for that player. Carolina at 8. This is a team that could also look at quarterback. Trey Lance still on the board if they view that he could be a longer upside player over Terry Bridgewater, or maybe he really won't move the needle too much. But I'm not going to have them take a quarterback. I think I'm going to have them taking Kyle Pitts, a tight end. They desperately need a tight end. They haven't had a good tight end pretty much since Greg Olsen left them. So he might be your number 1 receiver in this draft. He's looked at as a comparison to like Darren Waller, and I think he could be just another great weapon to Terry Bridgewater in that offense. And then maybe if Terry Bridgewater doesn't maybe propel you to the playoffs, you look at quarterback next offseason, but you have Robbie Anderson, you have DJ Moore, you have Kyle Pitts, you have CJ McCaffrey. That is a loaded weapon core. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos at 9, another team that could go quarterback and select Trey Lance, but I think they're going to give another shot with Drew Lock next year, with Jerry Jeudy, with Cortland Sutton coming back, and I think they're going to adjust their secondary and take Caleb Farley, who didn't play last year and he opted out due to COVID, but people are looking at him as the second best corner in the draft. I do like Surtain over him, and I think the Broncos could look to add to that secondary with Farley there. Another pick could be Trey Lance, but I'm going to have them not take a QB. Dallas is a team on the board here that could use some secondary help, and I'm sure they would love Farley or Surtain. They kind of took the Eagles pick last year when they took C.D. Lamb, and then maybe the Eagles took their pick this year with Patrick Surtain. J.C. Horn, but that could be a potential reach at 10, but maybe they really need it. I think they're going to go a defensive player and take Kwity Paye out of Michigan, arguably the best edge rusher in this draft. You might have Joseph Asai over him, or you might have Gregory Rousseau, but I'm going to have them take Kwity Paye, who might not fall to 10. He could go as high as 4 to the Falcons, and I'm going to have him fall to the Cowboys at 10. I really haven't seen him mocks at the Cowboys a lot, but I think they could maybe go Parsons. I'm sure they would love Farley or Surtain if he's on the board, and there's really no safeties that I would take that high anyway. So I'm going to have them go with Kwity Paye out of Michigan. So the Giants here, this one is a fairly easy pick. I'm sure they would love this, and that is Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. I do like Waddle slightly above Devonta Smith, but I like Devonta Smith a lot more than some other people. Someone I know, like Some guys have like Rashard Bateman out of Minnesota in front of Devonta Smith, but I don't have him that low. So moving on to San Fran, and this might be their pipe dream when it comes to the 2021 draft, not having to trade assets to move up to get a quarterback or trade him to another team to get an already current quarterback in the league. And they could stay at 12 and take Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, and they maybe have their quarterback for the future if they decide to sit him behind Garoppolo for a year, or if they think he's ready. I think this is a no-brainer if he's on the board with Trey Lance. But I could see them trading up in the draft. Who knows? Maybe they make a trade with like the Falcons and they really want Justin Fields or something like that. Or they end up trading this pick down the line and they get like a Derek Carr. They get a Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure, but I'm going to have the Niners take Trey Lance. So now we're on to the San Diego Chargers. And I think they're going to look to help out Justin Herbert on the offensive line. They're going to take Samuel Cosmi out of Texas and really get Herbert a good tackle for the future. It could be an upgrade over Brian Bulaga or Sam Tevi or Trey Pipkins, I think, right away. And you got to protect your franchise quarterback. I did the same with Joe Burrow. I did the same with Tua Tagovailoa, all the 2020 quarterbacks, and I'm going to do the same with Justin Herbert. So a little trend there. Now on to Minnesota at pick 14. And I'm going to have them take Micah Parsons out of Penn State. He's someone that if he played this year in the Big Ten and didn't opt out due to COVID, he could have been a top 5 pick. There has been some concerns that he is not devoted to football, but I think that Minnesota, they could go like an interior offensive lineman, a guard, or a center, but I'm going to have them taking Parsons, who is a game changer on the defensive end, and I think it's a no-brainer pick to select him in the top half of the first round. It's just, I'm not sure what team is going to do so, because he could go, I don't know, as high as like 7. Maybe Detroit will take him, or maybe Philly really likes him, or Cincinnati, but I'm going to have him fall all the way to 14, and that might be too low. He might go a lot higher in real life. Now, on to New England. I don't think they're a Mac Jones team. Like, if they were on the board here, maybe they'll call up Indianapolis or Washington or Chicago and be like, all right, you want Mac Jones? Let's make a trade. I don't think they're that type of team. I think they could go receiver here, and I'm going to have them select Devonta Smith out of Alabama. Now, they already have, they got good play to Jacoby Myers. Demary Bird was all right, and N'Keal Harry really isn't living up to the hype that he was originally drafted with. So I think Devonta Smith would be a good wide receiver target, good possession receiver for whoever the next quarterback is next year. Is it Cam Newton? Is it, I don't know. Maybe if Trey Lance is drafted by the Niners, maybe the Pats go out and get Jimmy Garoppolo, because if you remember that Bill Belichick really wanted him as Tom Brady's successor there. So yeah, Devonta Smith, maybe he won't go to the Pats. I really haven't seen that too much, but I think it could be a good fit. Definitely good if Belichick likes him. Now, on to the Cardinals. I think they are going to go secondary here, and I like J.C. Horn for them as Patrick Patterson is getting up there in age. They also have Drake Kirkpatrick getting up there in age. Jonathan Joseph. Byron Murphy wasn't too bad, but I think they can add that corner for the future, and they probably should go secondary. I think this is way too high to take a running back in Najee Harris, and I think you can really just get something out of Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake anyway. So I'm going to have them taking J.C. Horn, the third corner drafted in the first half of the first round. Now on to Oakland at 17, and I would have loved them to get Devonta Smith here because their receiving targets are interesting. Henry Ruggs really didn't have all that good of a rookie year. Nelson Aguilar was really their top wide receiver, and then they have obviously their best receiver is Darren Waller, but I think wide receiver could be an interesting fit for them, but maybe they should go defense here. And I don't know, Gregory Rousseau just seems like a John Gruden pick, but I'm actually going to have them go, where is it? Christian Barmore, the best interior defensive lineman in this draft, out of Alabama. How many Alabama players have been drafted so far? 2. Waddle would be 3, and then Surtain is 4. Sheesh. So, Miami, their second pick here in the first round, and this is a loaded wide receiver draft, so they can easily take Sewell. I'm glad I made that pick now, because at 18, you can land one of Bateman, Marshall, or Tony, and I'm going to have them taking Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. I believe he's like 6'4", 220, and he runs a 4.4 40, and I think that could be fantastic for Tua Tagovailoa, and I'm making that pick for them. Now, on to Washington. Ooh, these 3 teams need a quarterback. Philip Rivers retires. Mitchell Trubisky isn't the answer. And I mean, Washington, I feel like, is a team that could run it back with Alex Smith. And I don't think they should really overreact and take Mac Jones, because he is a very hit or miss prospect due to him playing in arguably the best system, a great O-line in Alabama, great weapons with Waddle and Devonta Smith, and a fantastic running back in Najee Harris to really take the pressure off of him. he didn't really have to make a lot of tight window throws, and I just don't see Washington really needing to do that. I do like them going receiver, though. Therese Marshall out of LSU, who's an absolute stud. They get another good receiver outside of Terry McLaurin. It's looking like Logan Thomas can be their tight end for the future, and Antonio Gibson, their running back for the future. But why not get another weapon there? And they're a team that can maybe look at a quarterback in a trade market. Maybe Derek Carr's on the block or somebody like that next year, and then they can make a move and keeping all their assets, because I've seen some stuff that they could trade 2 first-round picks, maybe a third, and Chase Young to get Deshaun Watson. I don't know if you would do that. They have a great D-line regardless, but Chase Young makes it elite and one of the best, and he's the best player on that D-line. So that's just a different topic. I don't think they go quarterback, but I would not be surprised whatsoever. I thought Matthew Stafford was maybe the perfect guy for them, but they ended up not getting him. So Therese Marshall is their pick and getting another good receiver. Now, Chicago, I think, is the team that is desperate for a quarterback and a change there, and they're going to go right in front of the Colts and select Mac Jones out of Alabama. Another Alabama player drafted. And yeah, I think that front office is like, we need a quarterback now. We need a quarterback. We might not be here much longer if we don't get one. Stafford's already been traded. Unless they make a move for Watson or Carr, how I had mentioned for almost like every team that needs a quarterback in this video, Mac Jones could be their best option. And there's a chance on draft night they might have to trade up to get Mac Jones. I think that they would do this if he's on the board, and they'd probably be thrilled if they didn't have to give up any future assets. And it's do or die for that team. And I think maybe the Colts could look at Sam Darnold if Zach Wilson was traded, maybe because they have a young defense and they can maybe build around him and actually give him time and develop him. When Chicago's like, all right, we need somebody to either be good right now, and Mac Jones could be a development guy as well, but I think they'd rather take that risk. And maybe they go Jacob Eason as their quarterback next year, the Colts. So I don't think they're going to go quarterback in the draft, and they could go receiver. Outside of Michael Pittman, they don't really have a lot there. T.Y. Hilton really wasn't great this past season. But I'm going to have them go Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech, another tackle there to improve that O-line. And he can replace Anthony Costanzo, who is going to be a free agent in 2022, and he's getting up there in age, and they can protect that next quarterback that they roll with. The Titans here at pick 22, I think they are going to go edge rusher and Joseph Osai, or Osai, however you pronounce it, but they do need help on the defensive side of the ball. I think their offense is fine. We'll see. Corey Davis is a free agent. Maybe they look at receiver to get somebody on side or alongside of A.J. Brown. Obviously, they're fine at quarterback and a running back. And yeah, I'm going to have them go defense there. So Gregory Rousseau still on the board here at 26. Now, he'll be going soon. Don't worry. But for receiver, I'm going to have the Jets take one. I don't know. They're a tough team because I don't know what they're doing in free agency. I do like it in the NFL that free agency is before the draft, so you kind of know. They could potentially go Rondale Moore, Kadarius Toney, but maybe they really won't target receiver. They spent a second on Denzel Mims last year. Jamison Crowder had a really good season, and they might go after a Galladay, Godwin, or Juju in free agency, or even an Allen Robinson. But I'm going to have them go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. They could really use an upgrade at their linebacking core, specifically their outside linebackers, and he could go higher. I think Cleveland would absolutely love that pick at 26, but the Jets are going to take him at 23. The Steelers on the board, Bud Dupree might be leaving, Juju might be leaving, James Conner might be leaving, Cam Sutton, Mike Hilton, they might be leaving. They have a free agency class that they're not going to be able to bring everybody back, but I'm going to have them go a position that was none of the ones I just mentioned of those players. I'm going to have them go... It was tough because he's still on the board, Jalen Mayfield. I really like Alex Leatherwood here going to the Steelers out of Alabama. I think Mike Tomlin is speaking highly of him, and I've seen that in a lot of mock drafts of like Alex Cruz at Steelers Depot, and I think that could be the pick there, and I know a lot of Steelers fans really want that pick. I'm going to have the Jaguars go Gregory Rousseau at 25. I guess the reason he's probably going to go higher on draft night. This was a little bit low. I just didn't know what team could take him. That I like just maybe put other certain players for that said team, like maybe the Titans go him instead, but I'm going to have him fall to the Jaguars at 25. I think Urban Meyer would definitely love to take a chance on him. So we're on the board at 26. The Browns do need a linebacker. I'm going to have them go with another Miami player back-to-back here, Jalen Phillips at 26, help out that linebacking core. I think this at 27 is a match made in heaven for the Baltimore Ravens. Kadarius Toney, you get Lamar Jackson, another weapon. You're probably going to extend him soon. You need another receiver outside of Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews, so I think that's a no-brainer there. For the Saints at 28, I'm going to have them go Asante Samuel Jr. They need another corner alongside Marshawn Lattimore. It's looking like Winston is probably going to be their quarterback next year. I would be very shocked if they took Kyle Trask in the first round. I just don't see him going the first round on draft night, so I'm going to have them go corner. Now, the Packers is a team that could use another corner. You saw Kevin King get burned in the championship game. Maybe they go Eric Stokes, and I think I'm leaning towards him. I really like Greg Newsome a lot out of Northwestern. I don't know if he goes in the first round. He might be more of a higher tier or touted second round pick. That's what I meant to say. But I think I'm going to go Eric Stokes. Another player could be Rondell Moore out of Purdue, because I don't really know what they're doing in free agency. Maybe they end up with a Will Fuller. He's another free agent. So maybe that is the case, but I'm going to have them go Eric Stokes out of Georgia and kind of move on from Kevin King. Buffalo, another team that could use a corner, or they can use a linebacker. And I'm going to have them taking Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. Shout out to the American Conference, and they could look to improve that defense. I think they're fine with Allen. They could go Najee Harris. You know what? I'm backtracking. I think they could use an upgrade. We're going Najee Harris. We're going Najee Harris here at pick 30, and them moving on from Singletary and Zach Moss and getting, I think, the best running back in the draft. They could look at Travis Etienne, but I'm going to have them take Harris. Now, on to the NFC winner, the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm recording this obviously before the Super Bowl. I should be seeing this before the Super Bowl. And I think they could go on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't really see them going offensive lineman. And I'm going to have them going Nick Bolton out of Missouri. I think that would be a solid pick to upgrade their defense when they already have a pretty good linebacking core already. Lavonte David is getting up there in age, but they have Shaq Barrett, Devin White, who they're obviously going to build around. So maybe this is a replacement for Lavonte David down the line. Maybe they wouldn't go linebacker. I'm kind of regretting that pick right after I made it. So maybe they would end up going like an interior lineman. Maybe Wyatt Davis here. Or they go Elijah Vera Tucker. Actually, I would prefer that pick for them, so I would like to. I don't think you can go back. Yeah, never mind. I changed my mind on that pick. I would go Elijah Vera Tucker instead of Nick Bolton here at 31. So erase that. I do apologize for that. And then the Chiefs here, I'm just gonna have them take. I think they could use an interior offensive lineman as well, and I'm going to have them go Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. So technically, this would be Vera Tucker at 31. So I do apologize. But yeah, that is my mock draft. Here was the top 5, 6 through 10 if you want to pause and see it, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, 21 through 25, 26 through 30, and then 31, 32. And that should not be Nick Bolton. That should be Elijah Vera Tucker. So that is going to be for me. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my first NFL mock draft. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy the video and you want to see more of this style content on the channel. Thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.